Imagine, just for a second, a deeply unsettling scenario.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You are looking at a trusted leader. I mean, a prominent institution, right? Someone whose decisions completely shape your daily life.
Yeah, someone with real authority.
Exactly. And suddenly you realize the face they show the world is, well, it's just a mask. The true terror isn't just that monsters exist out there in the dark. It's the chilling realization that they might actually already be inside the room, wearing a totally familiar face.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a primal, visceral fear, right? The idea that the people steering the ship aren't just, flawed or corrupt or making bad decisions, but that they are fundamentally biologically not like us.
Welcome, listeners, to another My Mind MashUps deep dive, where we unravel mysteries, spark curiosity, and make sense of complex ideas together.
We are so glad you're here with us.
Yeah, and take a moment to thank all the listeners that show their appreciation by buying us a coffee. If you'd like to support our channel, the link is in the description below. Also, thank listeners for sharing a part of their day with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy content that makes you think.
It really means a lot. And, every deep dive we do here is really about three core pillars: sparking curiosity, challenging assumptions, and expanding understanding. We definitely aren't here to tell you what to think. We're just here to give you the tools to, look at the world a little differently, dissect the info, and draw your own conclusions.
Right, exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. Today's topic is the reptilian hypothesis.
Oh boy, the big one.
Yeah, the overarching idea that a hidden, non-human reptilian intelligence secretly controls all human institutions. Now, it would be incredibly easy to just point and laugh at, like, the internet memes and the Wilder forum posts.
Right, the YouTube rabbit hole.
Exactly. But that's not what we do here.
No, it's not. Our mission for this deep dive is to ruthlessly separate the mythology, the fiction, the personal testimony, and the official records.
Which is a lot to sift through.
It is. But we are not doing a lazy debunking session here, and we certainly aren't presenting internet conspiracy as fact. We are going to look at the underlying mechanisms of this belief.
Like why people actually buy into it.
Exactly. We really need to understand why humanity constantly reaches for the image of the serpent to explain hidden power, and how that ancient archetype sort of morphed into a modern digital conspiracy.
So to understand that mutation, we really have to go way back. Because before the reptilian became a modern internet phenomenon, the serpent was already one of humanity's oldest, most potent symbols, right?
Oh, absolutely. Thousands of years before the internet.
Yeah, looking at the sources, we see these striking cross-cultural patterns. We're talking about ancient Sumerian cylinder seals depicting intertwined serpents, like the staff of the deity Ningishsida.
Right, the Sumerians were obsessed with that imagery.
And then over in India, you have the Naga and Nagini, these incredibly powerful snake-form deities. The texts say they inhabit underworld capitals filled with literal gems.
And it bleeds into Buddhism, too. Buddhist mythology features named Nagas, like Mukalinda, who famously sheltered the Buddha from a massive storm.
It's everywhere.
It really spans the entire globe, manifesting in societies that had zero contact with one another.
Yeah.
I mean, in Mesoamerica, you have Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent.
Which is such a wild visual.
It is. The Metropolitan Museum of Art describes this figure as a literal fusion of the earthly snake and the celestial bird. It's a creature capable of moving seamlessly between different cosmic levels.
Wow.
And over in Egypt, there's Sobek, the crocodile god. He was associated with the fertility of the Nile and the absolute power of the pharaohs. But the nuance here is crucial. Ancient cultures did not view these beings as purely evil or demonic.
Okay, wait, I have to pause you there.
Yeah.
Because when I picture a giant underworld snake god or, a massive Nile crocodile benevolent is definitely not the first concept that comes to mind.
That's completely fair. But they were deeply ambivalent. The British Museum materials describe these ancient Indian serpent deities as forces that controlled life-giving waters, granted immense wealth, and offered fierce protection.
So they weren't just monsters lurking in the dark.
Not at all. Consider the serpent on the staff of the Greek god of medicine, the caduceus, or the snake of Hygeia. That is a symbol of healing and pharmacology that we literally still plaster on hospitals and pharmacies today.
Oh, wow, yeah, you're right. I never really thought about why there's a snake on an ambulance.
Exactly. These entities represented royalty, profound wisdom, and fertility alongside, extreme lethal danger. They were mediators between realms, basically guarding the thresholds of life, death, and hidden knowledge.
But there is a massive, massive leap between worshiping a crocodile god for a good harvest and believing your local senator is an interdimensional lizard.
Just a bit of a leap, yeah.
How did that mutation happen? If these serpents were revered as protectors and healers, how did they become the ultimate hidden bad guys in our modern culture?
It's a great question.
Is it kind of similar to humanity's relationship with the ocean? Like, we respect the ocean because it sustains all life on Earth, but we're absolutely terrified of it because of what is lurking beneath the surface that we can't see.
Oh, that ocean analogy is perfect. The serpent operates the exact same way in the human psyche. It crawls close to the ground, tying it to the earth and the unseen underworld.
And it sheds its skin, right?
Yeah, in this mesmerizing display of renewal and immortality. Yet, it can camouflage itself perfectly, disappear silently, and deliver a fatal strike without any warning. That duality makes it incredibly emotionally loaded.
It's the perfect mythic image for hidden knowledge and hidden danger.
Exactly. But the shift from ambivalent ancient god to modern, malevolent infiltrator didn't happen in ancient temples. It happened in 20th century pop culture.
Ah, of course. So we move from ancient mythology to pulp magazines. 1929 is the specific year highlighted in our sources. The writer Robert E. Howard, who most people know for creating Conan the Barbarian, right?
Yep, the Conan guy.
He published a story called The Shadow Kingdom in Weird Tales magazine.
And Howard introduced the very specific narrative blueprint we still see today. He wrote about a race of serpent men who possessed this dark magic to resemble anyone they wished.
Shapeshifters.
Right. They wore human faces to infiltrate the royal courts of humanity. The psychological horror in Howard's story wasn't just that these creatures existed in some far-off cave.
The terror was that your most trusted advisor might be a serpent man in disguise.
Precisely. The person standing right next to you.
I mean, 1929 makes perfect sense historically for that kind of story to resonate. You are looking at the interwar period, global empires are collapsing, the Great Depression is beginning, and there is this creeping global paranoia.
People were terrified of who was really pulling the strings.
Right, pulling the strings of the global economy and politics. Howard essentially taps into that exact geopolitical anxiety and dresses it up in a pulp fiction monster story.
He provided a powerful narrative template for infiltration, and we see that template evolve and hit mainstream television in 1983 with the NBC miniseries V.
Right. Before we get into V, if this is resonating, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next deep dive. So, getting back to the 80s, I remember hearing about V.
It was huge.
The alien visitors show up in these massive hovering ships, promising humanity advanced technology and universal peace. But underneath their human-looking skin suits, they are actually carnivorous reptilian aliens.
The visual of peeling away the human skin to reveal the green scales underneath became completely iconic. It burned into the cultural memory.
Right.
But Kenneth Johnson, the creator of V, explicitly wrote that story as an allegory for the rise of fascism. It was never meant to be about literal aliens.
Wow, really?
Yeah. The skin suits, the slick propaganda, the human collaboration, the underground resistance. It was a direct warning about human totalitarianism. He was exploring how easily ordinary people can be seduced by authoritarian power when it wears a friendly, promising face.
That is incredibly ironic. A fictional television show explicitly meant to warn us against the very human dangers of fascism became the literal blueprint for a modern conspiracy theory.
It's wild, right? The visual trope of reptilian aliens in human skin was entirely co-opted. And this brings us to the modern synthesis of the theory. In 1999, an author named David Icke published The Biggest Secret.
Okay, I've heard of this one.
He achieved something very specific. He combined the ancient myths we talked about, the Sumerian gods, the ancient royal bloodlines, with the 20th century fictional tropes of shape-shifting infiltrators.
And 1999 is another one of those perfect cultural incubators, isn't it? You have the dawn of the global internet, Y2K panic, and a massive surge in institutional mistrust.
The timing was impeccable. Icke's claim was that a literal reptilian bloodline controls all major human institutions, banks, media, governments, everything.
He synthesized all these disparate elements into a totalizing explanation of global power and control.
What's fascinating here is that academic analyses, like the work by David G. Robertson mentioned in our sources, point out something critical about how this functions psychologically. It framed this entire narrative as a New Age theodicy.
Theodicy, that's a theological term, right?
Yeah, it refers to the attempt to answer the question of why evil exists in the world if the universe is supposed to be just.
I see. So instead of blaming human greed or, the complex, boring realities of systemic economic flaws, it completely externalizes the evil.
Exactly. It's not our fault, it's the interdimensional lizards.
It provides a mechanism to explain why human transformation feels constantly blocked, and why the systems governing our world can feel so incredibly cold, calculating, and lacking in basic empathy.
It makes the cruelty make sense. So we have the ancient myth and we have the 20th century fiction. But we really need to look at why this specific idea is surging again right now in the 2020s.
Yeah, because we are operating in a completely different information landscape today.
We absolutely are. We are in the middle of what many in the intelligence and transparency communities call the disclosure era.
Right.
The terminology has shifted. Terms like UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena, and non-human intelligence are no longer relegated to fringe internet forums.
Not at all. They are actively being discussed in mainstream congressional hearings and drafted into legislation.
We are seeing major, unprecedented headlines. NASA has commissioned independent UAP study teams.
And the National Archives is setting up a comprehensive UAP records collection mandated under the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act.
Exactly. And the catalyst for much of this current wave was David Grush's explosive congressional testimony in 2023. Grush, a former Air Force and intelligence official, testified under oath before Congress.
Under oath, that's a big deal.
Huge. He stated that, based on interviews with around 40 high-level insiders, the U.S. government has been running a multi-decade crash retrieval and reverse engineering program.
Wow.
And most notably, he claimed this program involves non-human craft and biologics.
Yeah, that specific word biologics really caught people's attention. He didn't say alien bodies or little green men.
No, he was very careful.
Biologics is a very clinical, precise term. It leaves a massive amount of room for interpretation. I mean, it could mean engineered biological drones, artificial tissue, or something we don't even have a scientific category for yet.
Exactly. So to steelman the perspective of those who believe in the reptilian hypothesis, they look at the ancient historical myths, they look at Howard and Nick's frameworks, and then they watch a decorated intelligence officer testify to Congress about non-human biologics.
I can see how that connects for them.
To a believer, this forms a highly coherent, continuous pattern, suggesting a long-term, hidden, non-human presence on Earth.
But we have to contrast that narrative with the official, verified record.
We do. We have to drop the hammer of verifiable reality, which comes in the form of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO.
Right, ARO.
They released a comprehensive historical record report in early 2024. And this wasn't just a surface-level skim. They reviewed classified and unclassified archives going all the way back to 1945.
That's a massive amount of data.
They interviewed about 30 people who claimed to have direct knowledge of these alleged hidden programs. They cross-referenced these claims against highly classified special access programs.
And the conclusion they published was pretty definitive.
Very definitive. The government readily admits that some aerial phenomena remain genuinely unresolved, meaning they have sensors picking up objects they cannot identify.
Unidentified doesn't mean alien.
Right. However, AAO stated they found zero verifiable empirical evidence of extraterrestrial technology, hidden reverse engineering programs, or reptilian shapeshifters.
Zero.
Furthermore, NASA's independent study team framed UAPs strictly as a scientific data problem, stating publicly that there is no credible evidence of extraterrestrial life involved in these phenomena.
Now, unresolved doesn't automatically mean reptilian, but it also doesn't mean weather balloon, it just means the data is incomplete. But when institutions like the Pentagon actively delay answers or overclassify completely mundane documents, or flat out admit they have massive blind spots in their own airspace, they create a colossal information vacuum. Doesn't that lack of transparency practically invite the public to fill the void with the ultimate hidden ruler myth?
Oh, unquestionably. When official answers are contradictory, heavily redacted, or perceived as evasive, the human brain naturally rushes to connect the dots and fill the gap. AARO's report actually noted this phenomenon.
Really? They addressed the cultural impacts?
They did. They pointed out that decades of entertainment media, pulp books, and internet content have fundamentally shaped public UAP-related beliefs. The language of modern disclosure, seeing words like non-human intelligence printed in actual archival laws, normalizes the concept of the unknown.
But it doesn't validate the most dramatic interpretations.
Exactly. The official government records contain 0 references to reptilian, shape-shifting entities. The reptilian hypothesis is essentially a cultural interpretive overlay that people place on top of the genuinely unexplained, prosaic UAP data.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Let's dig into the human side of this, because we aren't just talking about gullible people. Intelligent, curious, highly educated people fall into these belief systems.
They absolutely do.
Why? What is the specific psychological draw to this terrifying narrative? Before we break that down, remember to like, comment, and subscribe to hear more My Mind MashUps deep dives.
It ultimately comes down to fundamental human needs operating in an increasingly chaotic world. Psychological research, like the major review by the American Psychological Association cited in our sources, takes a very empathetic approach.
Right, it doesn't just call them crazy.
No, it doesn't mock believers at all. It breaks down conspiracy belief motives into 3 core psychological categories: epistemic, existential, and social.
Let's unpack those 3 for the listener. Epistemic refers to the mechanics of knowledge, right?
Yes, the deep need for understanding and certainty. We desperately want the world to make sense, especially when it clearly doesn't.
And existential.
Existential is the need for physical safety, control, and autonomy over our own lives. And social is the need to maintain a positive image of ourselves and find a community of belonging.
So, when the geopolitical world feels heavily manipulated, when global economies tank seemingly overnight, or, a pandemic completely disrupts daily life, people aren't just looking for monsters for the thrill of it.
No, they're looking for an organizing framework. They need a story that explains why things feel so catastrophically out of control.
The clinical psychological work gets even more granular regarding this specific archetype, doesn't it?
It does. There was a fascinating 2023 study published in the British Journal of Psychotherapy by a researcher named Dixon, which explored belief in reptilian conspiracy theories, specifically during the heightened anxiety of the COVID period.
How did Dixon explain the psychological mechanism at play there?
The study suggested that for some individuals, adopting this massive, terrifying narrative actually acts as a psychic retreat.
A psychic retreat. Wow.
Yeah. It functions as a subconscious way to process profound, overwhelming feelings of alienation or unresolved early childhood trauma.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Think about the mechanics of trauma. A tyrannical parent, an abusive authority figure, or a deeply unfair system in someone's past might be unconsciously scaled up.
So the abuser is transformed into a global, omnipotent reptilian cabal.
Exactly. It allows the individual to organize their internal, unnameable trauma into a coherent external story with a clearly named enemy.
That reframes the entire concept for me. As our research notes state, sometimes people reach for a monster story because the ordinary explanation feels far too small for the sheer size of the betrayal they feel.
That is so profoundly true.
It is psychologically so much easier to...
That is the absolute crux of the phenomenon. The serpent, in this modern context, is a projection of our own collective shadow. It represents power that feels entirely alien to us.
Like a faceless bureaucracy.
Yeah, when political or corporate power stops feeling human, humanity reaches for the reptilian archetype.
Yeah.
It externalizes the very real human experiences of navigating cold, calculating authority.
We are projecting our fear of dehumanized algorithmic systems onto the oldest symbol of hidden danger we possess.
Okay.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the sources, how do we navigate this information landscape?
Carefully.
Yeah, what is the practical takeaway for the listener who wants to stay informed, curious, but firmly grounded in reality?
The core takeaway is developing a rigorous framework for discernment. You have to ruthlessly separate the categories of information you consume. Ancient mythology and powerful cultural symbols are not the same thing as modern personal testimony.
Right.
And personal testimony, no matter how emotionally sincere or compelling the witness is not the same thing as verifiable, empirical official records.
Sincerity does not equal empirical proof. Someone can genuinely believe what they are saying without it being objectively true.
We must absolutely respect the sincerity of people's lived experiences. People have intense, reality-altering encounters, and the psychological impact of those experiences is very real to them.
We aren't invalidating what they felt.
Not at all. But intellectual honesty requires us to rigorously question the interpretations of those experiences. You have to hold curiosity and skepticism in your mind at the exact same time.
Which is hard to do.
It is, but you can fully acknowledge that there are genuinely anomalous, unexplained UAPs operating in our skies, while simultaneously demanding high-quality, reproducible scientific evidence before you accept that interdimensional shapeshifters are running the Federal Reserve.
Curiosity paired with epistemic humility. I like that. Before we go, I want to leave you with a provocative thought that builds on the underlying anxieties we've unpacked today.
Okay, let's hear it.
Our sources talk extensively about this deep primal fear of a cold, non-human intelligence controlling our society from behind a familiar mask. They talk about these alleged entities keeping humanity in a perpetual state of fear and division in order to harvest our negative emotional energy, a concept the conspiracy literature frequently calls loosh.
Yeah, the idea of an invisible energetic control system feeding on human suffering. It's a huge part of the lore.
Well, what if we've been looking for the wrong kind of non-human intelligence entirely? What if the real shapeshifter we should be worrying about isn't biological or extraterrestrial at all?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Think about the mechanics of our daily lives. What if the ultimate non-human intelligence, the one that is currently actively harvesting our negative emotions, our outrage, our fear, and our societal division, is the complex algorithmic AI systems that dictate our social media feeds?
Wow. That is a deeply unsettling yet highly accurate translation of the archetype.
Right. These algorithms hide their cold, mathematically calculated control behind a friendly, brightly colored, familiar digital interface. I mean, it's a literal mask.
A very appealing mask.
They feed on our digital loosh to drive engagement metrics and maximize ad revenue, fundamentally altering human behavior, elections, and society from the shadows of server farms. Maybe the reptilian infiltrator isn't wearing a human skin suit. Maybe it's just living in our phones, wearing the digitized faces of our friends and family.
It perfectly captures the essence of the infiltrator myth, updated for the realities of the 21st century. The non-human intelligence is already in the room, manipulating our perception of reality, and the terrifying part is that we willingly invited it in.
Something for you all to mull over the next time you find yourself endlessly scrolling. Find My Mind MashUps everywhere you listen. Amazon Music, Audible, Facebook, Pocket Casts, Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective could shape our next deep dive.
We'd love to hear what you think about the algorithm as the modern shapeshifter.
Exactly. Are we just projecting our ancient fears of the serpent onto modern technological mysteries? Or is the mask of power finally starting to slip? Until next time, keep your eyes open and keep questioning the narrative.